Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Zeus with Bruce, where today we will be talking about one of my favorite subjects with regards to sort of what this channel is going to be about, and it's going to be about beliefs. Now, before beginning about what a belief even is, I would like for you to ask yourselves, why do you do what you do? How did you get to the point that you're at? What underlying beliefs led you to that spot? And once we understand this, we can actually redirect the focus of our lives and what direction we want to take it in. So, simply put, a belief is a feeling of certainty about what something means. Beliefs, they create the maps that guide us towards our goals and gives us the power to take action. Now, for example, let's look at it like this. Let's say that all you, all your life you held this belief that you were incredibly amusing. People thought you were funny. So, how did you get to this belief? And for any belief to stand, there needs to be references to support that belief, whether it's experience, conversations with others, anything that helps to solidify how you got to the spot of believing what it is you believe. So, for example, if you believe you're funny or amusing, what happened most likely is when you were young, your family laughed at some of your jokes, thus creating a basis for you believing you're funny. Let's say fast forward in fifth grade, people laugh at some jokes you make. Your teacher, who you highly admire and respect, says, "Wow, you know what, Billy? You are so funny." So that's someone of authority, someone that you trust, who gives you that social capital in that setting. So from that, you start to build this picture, paint the canvas of saying, yeah, this is actually who I am and what I am. Now, while this can be used in positive ways, it can also be used in not so positive ways because most of the beliefs that we actually hold, we're unconscious that we hold them, and we weren't the ones who decided to adopt these beliefs. Most of it's actually circumstantial and came from a place of us having no input on the matter and just receiving what is, what was, what will be. And from my perspective, I find this incredibly debilitating, limiting, and overall actually damaging. Because what you're doing is you're not being the creator of your life, you're really just managing your circumstances. The idea with managing your circumstances, it alludes to the idea that you are living purely from the circumstances. You're not actually controlling any of the narrative. You're not making any conscious decisions. Most of it's subconscious. Most of it you didn't choose. You're just going with the flow, which nothing necessarily wrong with that. What happens when you're doing that? You can't really complain later on in life or even earlier on, wherever you're at in your journey, of things not going your way. Because what happens is you were not making those decisions and you weren't actually choosing this. Now, the belief is structured in that way. It's a feeling of uncertainty about what something means. And what I really want to work on is how do we get from beliefs and change them to the beliefs that we actually choose? In essence, how do we go from limiting beliefs to empowering beliefs? So, what is an empowering belief? Empowering beliefs are beliefs that we have about ourselves, which are helpful, positive, and accurate. Empowering beliefs, they give us the power because they affect our thoughts, our feelings, and actions. They help us to take positive action and feel good about ourselves. Now, disempowering beliefs would be the exact opposite. It's beliefs we have about ourselves that are not helpful, that are negative, and that are inaccurate. They take away our power because they affect our thoughts, our feelings, and actions, and they guide us to take negative actions and feel not so good about ourselves. And most people would want to live with empowering beliefs as opposed to disempowering beliefs. Yeah, what I find so worrisome is that we actually never chose which beliefs we have. They're merely a product of our environment, our circumstances. And when we get into that cycle of having a belief, the belief we have will hold, and then that belief we'll look for ways to support that belief that we have, right? Well, it's something called the RAS, the Reticular Activating System. It's in our brain, and we look for pieces of evidence, experience, any reference we can get to support that belief. And as we talked about in a way earlier episode, I believe episode 1, that the strongest need for humans is to be consistent with the identity we've shaped within ourselves. And beliefs support that identity, 100%. So where do we actually go that we can take back this belief that could be disempowering and turn into an empowering belief? And that's really what I want to work through today with you guys. And I found this has helped me incredibly just the past few weeks when I learned about it. And I firmly believe that just having this little nugget of information, nugget of wisdom, if you will actually be an incredible tool that you can use as a catalyst to shift these disempowering beliefs. And change really doesn't take years, decades, significant life events. No, that's really not true. It actually takes a moment where that change happens because the change occurs when you gain more pain by continuing that action as opposed to changing the action. What it means in essence is that people will do more to avoid pain than they will ever do to gain pleasure. So the process we're going to use is called the Dickens process, and it's going to run us through how to change these disempowering beliefs and use the pain we associate with them, not just mentally and in our minds, but actually physically and emotionally to actually connect with the pain that it's going to bring us. It'll take about 10, 15 minutes. Let's see how this goes and how it runs through. So, the Dickens process. Where does this come from? What's the background? Let's talk about it. So, the Dickens process, it's a NLP technique, which is a neuro-linguistic programming technique used by many psychologists and people in this field. And the essence is based on Scrooge, where it's the character Ebenezer Scrooge from A Christmas Carol, which was a novel written in the 1840s, I believe 1843. And in the beginning of this story, Scrooge is cold-hearted, he's selfish, and he hates Christmas. And he believes by being mean, he can actually become rich and get what he wants. And he's actually blind to what this belief, which is really a disempowering belief, is what that disempowering belief is doing to his life and those he loves and those he cares about. Now, the movie or the novel is called A Christmas Carol, just so you guys can check it out. It's a great story, classic in American literature. Highly recommend. So, what happens in the story is that Scrooge he is living this life with this disempowering belief, and he's actually blind to the consequences. And it's sort of like what we do because we are living a certain way, and it's difficult to take a step back and just realize, okay, what are the consequences of this action? And even if we're aware, we still tend to actually repeat that action, even though it's bringing us harm, because we're we're experiencing pain, but not enough to the point where we're willing to change because we view the continuation of that action with that belief is not as painful as changing that belief. But we're going to figure out that it is through this process called the Dickens process. So, how it's going to work, well, actually, just to finish up with Scrooge, is that he has these disempowering beliefs, and then one night he gets visited by three ghosts. Ghost who brings Scrooge to the past, present, and future. And what the ghosts do is they have Scrooge envision what his life is like if he continues his disempowering belief, what it's cost him in the past, and in his dream, he it's so visceral for him. He's experiencing this belief and the pain it's cost him, the consequences of this belief, and then they bring him to the present. He's viewing the consequences, and in the future, same thing. And then he wakes up from this dream, realizes that it's not too late and he can change his ways. Fortunately, he changes his ways and does not become a prisoner to this belief. Where he had this belief before of being mean equals wealth and being rich, and that's just who he is. This belief that he actually used to protect him, this wall, actually became a prison. And I sense that's what happens to a lot of us, myself, way more than I'd like to admit. And I recently went through an experience where I was able to break this and believe that it's incredibly valuable to just be aware of this tool set to use to break yourself. So we are going to begin. Now, what does this look like? So right now, as you're listening, if you need to take a break and pause, please do so. What I would like you to do is to write, really let's focus on two. Write two disempowering beliefs that you have that have cost you pain in your life and find and really go down the list. Don't just write one or two things. Really write 5, 10, 15, as many as you can. And if you need to pause this to give yourself, shouldn't take more than 3 to 5 minutes, please do so. And then when you resume, we'll continue. So now that you're back and now that we're continuing, we're going to go through this process of these disempowering beliefs and what they cost you. So what would help is if you were able to stand up, and if you're not driving or anything like that, feel free to stand up and close your eyes. Because the first part of this is changing the physiology of your body, because you want to change the conditioning from a neural standpoint that you have with these thoughts. Because it's not enough to think, oh man, yeah, me thinking I'm too young it really sucks. And it really does. Oh, me being this background, me being this gender, me being this religion, me being this height, me being this weight, me having this look on my face, this hair, whatever it is, you can't think your way with the pain. To an extent you can, but it's not enough to the point where you actually want to change. So stand up, close your eyes throughout this entire process, and I'm going to give us a little bit of background music that we're going to play to help begin this process. All right, here we go. So I want you to take these beliefs that you have, and what we're going to do is we're going to go a little bit to the past. Now, think to yourself, what has this belief cost you in the past? Meaning, from a point with your family. Do you still have your family from those actions you had in the past, those beliefs, the actions that stem from those beliefs? With regards to your friends, do you still have these friends? Has this belief brought you pleasure or pain in the past? Your belief that you're too young, that you don't have the right build, that you don't have the right look, that you're not in the right country, that your political party didn't win, that you're an orphan, that you're part of this big family, you just feel neglected. What did this cost you in the past? From a financial standpoint, what did you lose? What did this belief cause you to lose financially? What opportunities did you lose from this belief? And feel what you felt in those moments when this belief that you held on to, you were holding on to it and it caused you to experience pain. Feel that pain, not just with your head and with your thoughts, but with your chest, with your heart, with all the emotions you can experience in your body. And really bring yourself back to that point and feel to yourself, feel having this belief, it was disempowering. It didn't bring me pleasure and it caused you pain. As we were saying, social pain, community pain, internal pain. Now, with that pain that you have from the past, we're going to transition to the present. So with this disempowering belief, what is this costing you in the present? Let's look at it from that standpoint. Are you losing friends? Are you losing job opportunities? Are you losing family? Are you missing opportunities? Are you missing the chance to go on an adventure in a different city, in a different state, different country? Where are you missing out? This empowering belief, feel what it feels on the inside. Who have you lost as a result of this belief? Who to yourself are you no longer because of this belief? You used to believe you were courageous, but somewhere along the line, this belief that you're not enough, that you're too young, that you're too weak, that you're not the right gender, that your religion isn't the most promising religion in your environment. What is the pain that you've experienced from this belief? And please feel free to make a sound, make a grunt, anything like that, because the more you get out of your head and into your body, you really get to feel and change the neuroassociative conditioning that is already playing a role in your body. Feel the pain. Feel that. What is it bringing you? What is it bringing you in this moment to believe that? Has it cost you your job? Has it cost you your home? Has it cost you your peace of mind? Has it cost you opportunities with friends, coworkers, family? What is this costing you now? Think about that pain and then internalize it and feel it. Feel the pain of this belief and feel it viscerally. Don't just let it be something mental, feel it viscerally. Now, you're probably at some level of pain at this point. And I'm happy you are. Not because I want what's worse for you, but the disempowering belief that you're having now, you can't think your way out of it. You got to feel it with your body. Feel it with every bone in your body. Now, what we want to do is let's think a little in the future, because this has already caused you pain in the past, this empowering belief. And you felt that pain, it was very real. This empowering belief is costing you pain in the present. Not a good time. And feel that pain. If you haven't let out a shout or a grunt, please do so now with your eyes closed. Continue. You don't need to scream to the top of your lungs, but if that's what you feel, you got to do it. Because at that point, you are connecting the pain from that belief to the past and the present. Now we're going to fast forward and envision what this pain is going to bring you a year from now. What is this pain? What does it feel like? What is that belief? What is it costing you a year down the line? Are you no longer to pay rent? Are you no longer stable in your mind? Are you no longer stable with the friendships you have, the relationships, with coworkers? What have you missed out on by having this belief a year from now? Feel that pain. Feel that pain of a year of continuing this belief that you didn't necessarily choose, that it's just stuck in you. That's who it is. That's who you are. That's the way it's going to be. Continue that belief. You want to continue it. There we go. Very painful. A year from now. Now let's imagine 5 years from now. 5 years of continuing this belief that you didn't even choose consciously. And if you even did choose it consciously, feel the pain of that disempowering belief. What is it costing you? Is it costing you your relationships with loved ones? Is it getting you in trouble with the law? Is it getting you in trouble with those you care about? Is it preventing you from taking actions on writing that book, taking that trip, creating that podcast, switching jobs? What is that belief costing you 5 years from now? What is it going to look like? 5 years from now, what are they going to think? Are they going to look back at 2021 you and say, wow, I'm really happy you held on to that belief? Feel the pain from that. Make the sound of what that pain feels like and maintaining that belief. 5 years from now, very painful, but we're going to go more. 10 years from now. 10 years from now, your life is different. What does that pain feel like? Don't just think about it. Feel the pain. Make the sound of yourself 10 years from now. What will the consequences of this disempowering belief be? And what is it going to cost you? What is it costing you to continue this belief that you didn't choose? And even if you did, it is costing you so much more than you deserve. Continue with this though. Feel this pain 10 years from now and think, I don't have sympathy now because you're aware of this belief. This is what you're choosing. This is your belief right now. 10 years, incredibly painful, sometimes can even become unbearable. Now, what we're going to switch is go to 20 years from now. 20 years from now, this belief continues. 20 years, look, I'm only 25, so I can't speak too much more to this, but 20 years, it's a long time, but it goes by quick. And imagine yourself 20 years from now, continuing this disempowering belief. Continuing it. What does it cost you? Is this really the life you want to live? Let's say you're my age and then you're 45, and before you know it, your belief that you're too young, your belief that who you want to be president isn't president, who your neighbors are, that's controlling everything. That's your belief. You didn't choose that per se, but that's the reality. What does this cost you? What does that cost you continuing this belief and running down that same old road of this belief? In your past, it's caused you pain. In the present, it's costing you pain. In the future, my goodness, 20 years from now, that pain is going to be unbearable. You're going to look back and maybe unlike Scrooge, you won't get the chance to wake up. You're going to realize the consequences of this belief that mostly wasn't chosen, but you've adopted, you have decided to live that belief. Feel it. Make the sound or sounds, and don't just think of it in your head. Feel it in your body, in your chest. If you want to spin in circles, if you want to jump, if you want to crouch, get to that position. Feel the pain of that belief, continuing that belief, and what does that feel like? 20 years from now. And look, we could go 40 years, 60 years. Let's go to the end of your life when you're on your deathbed or wherever you make it towards the end. Think about it. This disempowering belief, which is really BS, it's a belief system that you've decided consciously at this point to adopt and to continue in. What does that pain feel like? Feel it, don't think it, feel the pain. Feel that pain that you can't get back. The time's over. Now, what's happening is this is your life. This is your life, and this is what your life is going to ultimately be. These beliefs that you didn't choose, now this is your life. It's unbearable, it's painful, and you can't do anything to change it. Now pause. We're going to wake you up. We're going to shake you by your shoulders while your eyes are still closed. But the beauty is that this future is not the reality yet, and it doesn't have to be. So with these two disempowering beliefs, we're going to implement the strategy of the Dickens process continuing, and we're going to shift these beliefs. So think to yourself now, all that pain you experienced just now, the past 8 minutes we just did, that you experienced part of this Dickens process, going back and reliving your pain from the past, the people you've affected, the opportunities you've missed, the financial abundance that you also missed out on, the health, all those things that you missed from the past, the present, and the future coming up. Now we're going to switch. That's painful. We're not going to continue down that road. What we're going to do is we're going to switch the belief. Now, think to yourself and pause here if you need to. Really shouldn't, because what you're doing is we're going to adopt now two opposite beliefs that are now the empowering beliefs as opposed to the disempowering beliefs. So what we're going to do now is adopt this new belief. Instead of I'm too young and I can't do this, being young is my superpower. I'm not educated enough. Forget that. I'm self-educated. And you have your own education. You're finding out that the person I want isn't president. Okay, great. That person's not present. But in spite of that, I'm still going to even overcome that. Leverage the beliefs you have that were disempowering and switch the narrative. Create it. Associate now the pleasure that is going to occur with your new belief. So we can't go to the past. We can't change that. The pain from the disempowering belief is there. The present is still, we can still operate here, and the future is still going to come. So now what I want you to do is to envision these two new empowering beliefs to take and replace with the disempowering beliefs. So now with these new empowering beliefs, what is it going to feel like? The consequences of these beliefs, what are you going to feel? You can recognize that with these new beliefs, you're going to feel a sense of accomplishment, a sense of fulfillment, a sense of joy, a sense of gratitude. And it really would make sense to have a lack of regret, because what's happening is now is you're associating this new feeling of pleasure with this new belief, this empowering belief that you're deciding to choose. That place you were just at with the disempowering beliefs, all that pain, that's BS. That was your old belief system. And that's a place you don't need to go back to. You felt the pain. Hopefully you were making some sound, you were grunting or just yelling, whatever it is. Tough if you were doing it in public. So maybe do it in private or with friends. But point being is you're experiencing this pain. You don't want it again. This new empowering belief you've decided to choose, it's going to lead you to a place that you can envision in your mind. When you envision what that looks like, imagine the feelings you're going to get with the consequences of your new belief. And with that, how is your body going to operate? Show me or demonstrate wherever you're at. How do you position your body? Is your back hunched over, or is it straight up? Are you taking deep breaths or shallow breaths? Are you energetic or are you fatigued? With these new empowering beliefs, you sense where you're ultimately going to be or where you can be. That's not limited. You've eliminated the pain from the disempowering beliefs, and now you've adopted these new empowering beliefs. And this is a little fun exercise that I had done before. With these new empowering beliefs, Make some sound or some gesture. Change your body, the physiology of it. Associate now. You can do eyes closed or eyes open of what it's going to be like in the present when you have these new beliefs internalized. Are you joyous? Are you going up and down? What are you doing? Make the sound. Make the sound now of what your relationships will look like, of what your finances will look like, your social circles, of your job, of what you do for a career. What's your passion, your purpose? Do you have more relationships, less relationships? Envision that. Think about that right now with this new belief that you've adopted, because there's so much more pleasure in this area. The pain of continuing your disempowering belief, you know what that costs you. You felt what that costs you, and it's over. We're not doing that anymore. So we're picking up that new empowering belief. In the moment, it feels quite amazing. I'm assuming you all made some sound or some gesture that solidified what that feels like. Now imagine 5 years from now what that feels like. 5 years from now, whatever age you are, 5 years from now, you've adopted this belief, and look at the consequences of that belief. This new empowering belief. What does life look like? What does life look like for the 5 years from now you? Are you still ruminating on the past and the pain of a disempowering belief? Are you missing job opportunities? I don't think so. With this new empowering belief, one that helps you make more positive choices and changes the way you think, feel, and act, what does your new relationship look like? What are your opportunities looking like? What are your relational dynamics looking like? What is your mindset? 5 years from now, this isn't that far away, 5 years. Now we're going to switch. Take this empowering belief and imagine 10, depending on your age, 20, 30 years from now. Go to the future. What does this empowering belief give you? Where do you see yourself in this empowering belief? One that you actually chose. Remember, you are not the manager of your circumstances. You are the creator of your life. And that really begins with choosing empowering beliefs versus disempowering beliefs. With most people, this is something we've noticed, is that what people can do is absolutely incredible. Yet what we figured is that what they will do is usually disappointing. And that comes from a place of potential upside, but why it's disappointing is because they fall into these disempowering beliefs that prevent them from acting. And what we've realized is that through this Dickens process, you've eliminated those old beliefs. Even if they're there, the pain you associate is so great, the consequences are so great that that's not a place you want to be. And you felt the pain. You didn't think about it. You felt the pain. With this, not new you, but new mindset, new belief system that you consciously chose and you've decided to associate enough pleasure with, that is the reality. That is the unencumbered fear that is now in you that you're able to live with. You've decided to shift from this belief system, this BS, absolute BS, that has been subconsciously been the captain, the commander of your mind, of how you're acting, and all our decisions come from that. So that is the Dickens process. Now, I really hope you played all out on that one. I really hope you were able to think about it, but feel it and go from a place of emotion, because that's where the change is going to happen. Because when you do this, and if you're really playing all out, you're not just listening to it. Sure, you can listen, it can also work, but if you really want to get the most out of it, you got to find a way to feel the emotions, the pain, and the pleasure from these consequences that derive from the beliefs they have. And the beliefs, they're just there. They're being supported by a bunch of legs. The analogy I like to use for beliefs is that it's like a car. The car itself can drive, but without any of the wheels, you're not going to have luck. And the belief is the car, but the references that support the belief are the wheels, the tires of the car. You get one flat, you're done. You can't operate. Now imagine taking off those wheels and switching them to actual wheels that you choose, you desire. The analogy, of course, is not perfect, but the main idea is for something to stand, there needs to be support and references for it. And I see that too often we don't choose these. and we allow the external navigate and control the internal, which that's the one place you would believe you'd be in control of. And that's something that we can't let slip, because once we do, we're no longer the creators of our destiny, but again, just the individuals who are managing the circumstances. And we're much more than that, and we can't let that govern our lives. So if you ran through this, you did the Dickens process, bravo, kudos, mabruk, mazel tov, congratulations. What you realize is that these beliefs, they're in us. We have them, but they don't need to stay there. They don't need to stay there. They don't need to run the ship. They don't need to be captain. Right from that movie with Tom Hanks, the guy, Captain, I think is the name. I don't know the name of the movie. The guy who says, "Look at me. I'm the captain now." That's my terrible accent with impersonating the pirate. Point being is take it back. Take back the narrative and restructure your belief system. And the best way to do that, of course, is with the Dickens process that we just did, but also just feel with yourself, what has this belief cost you? What has the pain been? And what will it cost you? What are the consequences? And we only change once we reach a threshold of pain that is unbearable. Some people, it takes this massive event, life-changing, near-death experience. I don't know about you. I don't want to wait that long. Humans, we're not cats. We don't get 9 lives. We got one shot at this thing called life. And it's a shame if we live our lives like Scrooge and wait until the end, or once we're older, a near-death experience, just to shake us up and challenge these beliefs that are working to guide how we operate and how we make our decisions. With that, I would really first just want to applaud you guys for doing this process. Hopefully you did it full out. And if you know someone that has a limiting belief, share with them. Help guide them through this. This isn't rocket science. I'll put the links in the show notes of how you were able to change your beliefs through this process. It's a neuro-linguistic programming technique used by many, many people in this field. And if you're in a circumstance where you feel everything's against you, your best bet is to shift your beliefs. And if you don't have those references to support your belief, you could say, "Oh, I'm so good with talking to people." Are you? Every experience you've had, though, has been horrendous. You tripped over your words. You couldn't shake their hands properly. You were unable to interact, communicate. You can't do this. Yeah, well, guess what happens? When you use those references as false empowering beliefs, you're stuck. You're definitely going to be stuck. You need to switch the pain and the pleasure in this scenario. Envision in your mind what continuing this belief is going to cost you, and envision what the pleasure will cost you if you change that belief. Because sometimes you need to bet on yourself and believe you can do something before you can even do it. And if you don't believe you can, no one else will. With that, thanks for listening. Hope this one helps out. Until next time, was this with Bruce? Be well. Alrighty. Peace, peace. Use it. Use the Dickens process. Absolutely crucial. Best of luck. Have a good one.